FNAF World, a game released by Scott Cawthon on the 21st of January 2016. A game that gave a new spin to the characters that we loved, and hated some of them, talking about you Balloon Boy, from the FNAF series thus far, and took them from a horror game based on heavy ambience and the looming threat of danger always lurking in the shadows, to a light-hearted, fun, turn-based RPG game where you must create the strongest team to wipe out the hardest bosses that you can. This game divided the FNAF community. Some liked the fresh take on the characters from an otherwise constant horror series where the whole point was to be scared, but others thought it was too big of a change from the original sit-and-survive horror genre that they were so used to. For some, this is their most hated FNAF game in probably the whole series, and I think it's safe to say it is probably the most hated game in the whole series. So here I am, 7 years later after the game originally released, and I want to go back and answer the question, was FNAF World overhated? This video is going to be split into 3 major segments: visuals, gameplay, and music. So if there are any specific points that you want to hear me talk about, then yeah, you can skip to those. There should be chapters in the description. And if you're here to watch the whole video from start to finish, I hope you enjoy. Just before we hop into the first major segment of this video, I just want to talk about the different game modes that you actually have available in FNAF World. When you start up the game, there are 2 different game modes that you have available to select: Fixed Party and Adventure. Adventure mode is when you start off with only the top row of characters, being the original and the toy animatronics from the first and second game, and after every fight you're able to randomly encounter new animatronics depending on the area, and obviously unlock them once you defeat them. Fixed Party mode means that you select your first and second team of 4 characters right from the get-go, and you're unable to change it past that point. Fixed Party mode, I'm pretty sure, depends on like the amount of animatronics that you've discovered in Adventure mode, and I think it depends on like the whole bar, because there are different rows, and if you unlock a whole row of animatronics from the Adventure mode, you'll have them available in the Fixed Party mode. In Adventure and Fixed Party modes, there is a normal and hard mode, which will give you different endings depending on which one you play all the way to the end, and obviously making the opponents that you face harder, or, you know, not as hard. Oh, and I guess I'm gonna have to say this, spoiler warnings, I guess? Yeah, I don't know, I don't know. I decided to talk about the visuals first because it's what immediately jumps out to the player compared to the rest of the games, and I honestly love them. Scott turned the creepy, disturbing animatronics from games 1 to 4 and made them into cute mini versions that I think are just amazing, to be honest. It's nice to see the characters that we've all come to know in a different light to what we are used to. There are a lot of characters available to be used in FNAF World, 40 to be exact, all spanning from FNAF 1 to 4, all with their own unique moveset. But we'll talk more into this during the gameplay segment. Outside of characters, there are 6 main environments you must traverse to eventually face the final boss. All of these places having a colour theme to them and their own individual soundtrack, but we'll get to that later. Area 1, Fazbear Hills, is the starting point for you and serves the purpose of kind of being a tutorial area for the player as they get to grips with the mechanics of the game, along with introducing NPCs that you can interact with to buy helpful items that will aid you in your journey. NPCs you can interact with are Lolbit, DD, Fredbear, and this random blue Endo guy. Lolbit and Endo provide you bites and armor in exchange for fast coins, which is what you earn after every single fight in the game. DD lets you play a fishing mini game where the goal is to get the pearl to earn more fast coins, 100 to be exact, and it costs 10 for entry. Fredbear serves as a guide to the player to help you continue your journey by telling you where you must go next, or giving hints, cause he's not always exact. Lolbit can be found all over the map in different locations, selling different goodies for you. However, DD and Endo can only be found in Fazbear Hills, right where you spawn in, you'll see them immediately. The primary colour of Fazbear Hills is green, as it's, well, in the hills, as the name implies, with many trees. Fazbear Hills serves its purpose very well, as you will soon find yourself dominating all the enemies very quickly without much problem. To get to the next main location on the map, you must traverse through the sub-tunnels, also known as the Flip Side, which is accessible through a glitch tree in Fazbear Hills and many other locations in the game. The Flip Side has 4 different layers, the first one being a lighter blue colour. This is just the surface layer, and is very safe. Layer 2 is Stranger, and consists of white and black. This is still safe. Layer 3 is the furthest you can go down in terms of remaining safe. It's the weirdest visually and music-wise, with your character becoming what appears to be the puppet mask. The background is just black and white lines with black bars glitching onto the screen. Do not go further than this, or face the consequences. If you choose to go even further down, you are greeted by a lonely fisherman surrounded by red trees, who tells you there is nowhere else to go. You are forever stuck. Anyways, next we move on to Area 2, Choppy's Woods. where you are surrounded by tree stumps and enemies' attack damage and health are slightly increased. The main colour theme of this location is brown, as expected for a place about wood. I can't lie, there isn't all that much to say about this location. However, it does introduce the player to their first glitch world enter, along with the cave. The glitch world, also known as star and symbol ___ T-wire, is entered through walking into this stump with a bird on it for a few seconds until you are now walking over objects and have a different, more eerie theme track playing. In this world, you can obtain red chests that have extremely powerful chips. However, the enemies here are extremely dangerous and obtain moves that can one-shot every single one of your party members without the right equipment. You really shouldn't come here ill-prepared. You're probably going to get annihilated. Area 3, the Dusting Fields, is a snowy area that is honestly quite haunting to me, as it seems especially desolate of any hope. There are on-screen effects of snow, along with rocks and dead trees. The colour theme is, well, obviously white. Area 4, also known as Lilygear Lake, is, well, a massive lake that you traverse via boat and contains, who would have guessed, lily pads, along with stronger enemies. The main colour for this zone is a lighter blue. You know, just like the water in that. Yeah. Area 5, Black Tomb Yard, is a graveyard where you are surrounded by gravestones, torches, rocks, and dead trees. It's nice Scott made a location dedicated to the COD franchise. The yard's main theme colour is black, or purple, according to the icon on the right, but I don't really see it, to be honest. Other than the enemies, I guess. The final main locations of the base game are Pinwheel Circus and Pinwheel Funhouse, both of which make up Area 6. The circus is the calmer, less confusing of the two. As it is a circus, the area is closed in via fences and different coloured tents. After walking through one of the tents, you enter the funhouse, which is where things get trippy. This is because you have to make your way through an extremely confusing maze of tricks that always has some sort of strange effect on screen to confuse the player and make it even harder to reach their goal. Enemies in this location are extremely dangerous and will probably whip your ass for a little bit, so be prepared. After going through all the main locations FNAF World has to offer to the player, I would like to say that I do really enjoy the visuals for this game, as it seems like an updated retro type style which I think really works for this RPG game. Out of all the locations, I do have to say that I think Choppy's Woods is my least favourite, just because it looks like Fazbear Hills, just with stumps instead of trees. But my favourite location is probably Pinwheel Circus, as it's fitting for the final location, but has a calm vibe to it, which contrasts the difficult fights you will be encountering. The visuals are a massive W in my opinion, and really add to the feel of this game. The gameplay consists of fast-paced, turn-based fights. What I really mean by that is you need to try and attack as quickly as possible, as it is not like Pokemon in terms of full strategizing, waiting for both sides to make a move before proceeding with the round, if you could call it that. In FNAF World, there is no stopping. The opponents attack relentlessly, and you do too, being able to select a new attack from each party member every so often. Speaking of party members, you are given the ability to have 2 parties of 4 characters that you can swap between mid-fight. If all party members are eliminated in one fight, you lose. There are a large variety of characters to choose from, 40 to be exact, in terms of the base game, and the Halloween update adding 10 more on top of that. Every character in the game has a different move list, including attacking, healing, buffing, debuffing, insta-kill, and some special attacks. I'm not going to get into each individual attack, as this video is probably going to be long enough as it is, but depending on your chosen playstyle, you would want to have different characters in your team. For example, if you want to have a team where you can constantly debuff the opponents to be slower, weaker, you would want characters like Phantom Freddy and Golden Freddy. But if you want to roll the odds more with insta-kill moves, you'd want a team with moves like Escape Key and Unscrew. Overall, it's good to find a balance with healing and attacking. Along with your party selection, there are also bites and chips. Bites are mini companions that you bring into fights that will either heal your party or damage the opponents. As talked about earlier, these bites can be bought from Lolbit in several different locations. For example, in Fazbear Hills, the place where you start, you're able to buy these little wasp things that like just attack an opponent every so often. Chips are items you can find in chests anywhere in the game that will give you all types of status buffs, extra attacks, blocks that evade certain attacks, etc, etc. There are too many to go into great detail, but I hope you get the point. The colour of the chest determines how rare or powerful the chip is. Silver is the most common, gold is the middle, and red is the most powerful. Along with normal enemies, there are also many bosses in the game that have larger health bars and sometimes have a special attack that is otherwise only able to be done by very certain enemies. Some bosses are very tough and will need an extremely beefy team to take down. After I have gone over the general gameplay of FNAF World, I now want to give my opinions on it. I think this gameplay loop is very fun and entertaining, getting XP and progressing to try and get the strongest team you can possibly obtain. Although I must admit, this game can definitely be headache inducing, due to the sheer amount of things going on during fights with constant flashing and confetti whenever you level up. It's a game that definitely isn't for everyone, as it can definitely cause some headaches and be annoying to some. Along with the constant sound effects of attacks hitting opponents and opponents hitting you, it is quite overwhelming at points. Speaking of sound, I'm gonna say it now, I love the music in this game. The soundtrack fits the different environments so well and just adds so much more to the feel of the overall aesthetic of this game, which is exactly what a good soundtrack should do. A special shout out to the track Stone Cold, which I have been using quite a lot during this video. Whoever made this was cooking up heat during the creation of this masterpiece. It is also a final boss theme which it really fits. Even caves in the game, which I haven't really touched on in this video as there's not really that much to say about them, have their own track that boosts the vibe of being alone in the dark of this cave, where you very well could get your ass beat. Honestly, the music in this game is just phenomenal, and a huge congrats to whoever made it. They absolutely nailed it. So, after we looked at all the main aspects of this game, we have come back to our original question we have set out with answering at the beginning of this video. Was FNAF World overhated? In my opinion, it absolutely is. I think this game offers so much fun with grinding, traversing all the unique locations, trying to beef up your team with nothing but straight heat tracks to listen to whilst doing so. The excitement you get whenever you get a new challenger has appeared pop up after a fight in an effort to create the strongest team possible that fits your specific game plan for fights is just amazing. And along with this, there is so much replay value with all the different endings and different modes that will keep you coming back for more. The freedom to create your own challenges is great as well, whether it be from only using certain characters or adapting the game code to make it harder. I have seen this example with popular creator Astral Spiff and his many videos on doing challenges on this game. I most definitely could be biased, because honestly, this is one of my favourites from the FNAF series. I have played and beat it several times, and still not got all the trophies on the game save selection screen. Which I just want to go off script here and say that actually, I think that's a really cool inclusion, and I think that is a big W for Scott right there, because I mean, it's just such a nice touch. You get to see all the little, all the endings you've got on as little trophies whenever you load up the game again on the main menu and stuff like that. And along with that, it's even small things, not just endings. Like if you beat DD's Pearl minigame a certain amount of times, you get that Pearl as a bite, and it will heal your characters in fights. And you get that as a little trophy as well, which I think is honestly just amazing. Big props to Scott. Such a small addition, but it makes a big difference to me. I really would have loved for the sister location characters and onwards to have been incorporated into this game, along with more content like the Halloween update, which we'll go over another time. But unfortunately, support was stopped some time ago. I hope maybe that we could get one last update for this game as a surprise or something. But saying this, I know that the chances of this happening are little to nothing. FNAF World, overhated and underrated. I just want to say at the end here, this is my first type of video like this that I'm making. So if you enjoyed, please be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. This is the beginning of the transaction into more review-based type content. So thank you for sticking around to the end if you did do so, and I hope you have a good day. I'll see you in the next one.